Chapter 91. 91 Eldest Uncle Stuck. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. 91 Eldest Uncle Stuck. Good that they were not here. Xiao Xian took a rest and after a while started to work in the kitchen. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Tao Tao helped alongside. Ms. Su was very happy to see Xiao Xian making some snacks for her children. She offered to help too, but Xiao Xian told her to leave. During dinner, dishes including pan-fried lamb chops, stewed radish soup, pan-fried sweet and sour hoof, stir-fried yam slices, stir-fried lettuce, and cold spinach were served. The view made people drool. The barbecue pork was made as well. But it was stored in the kitchen for the next night. When elder uncle saw the table full of meat, he could not help but gasp. Before he could say anything, Xiao Xian smiled. Don't worry, father, all this was bought with my dowry, not with the shared money. My husband has been studying hard, and our brothers and sisters in law are working hard too. We should eat something good. Eldest uncle was stuck with words, and said nothing more. He owed Tu Liang to his daughter in law and could not possibly ask her to share the food with the other sections of the family. Eldest uncle answered briefly and said, but this is too much for us. He meant that they could give the rest to the second and the third sections of the family, because their children were starving too. Xiao Sanlang pursed his lips. We are all grown-ups. Of course we will be able to finish it all. Dad, the dishes taste great, I will make sure I finish them all. Xiao Xian chuckled. Seeing that Xiao Xian had not yet realized what he meant, eldest uncle snapped at his son and said, you only know how to eat. You are getting married soon. Ms. Fong rolled her eyes. Just sit down and eat. Eldest uncle fell silent. The lamb chops tasted crisp on the top and the hoofs were not tough to chew. A bite of both of them tasted great. They were soft, sweet and sour at the same time, with a really fragrant taste of the broth. The wok dishes and cold served spinach were good for appetite. After the whole family was full, they spoke highly of the dishes and did not spare even the broth. Xiao Sanlang looked at elder uncle, as he poured the broth over the rice. Dad, look, I knew I could finish it. Eldest uncle responded in a dark manner. Just shut up, Xiao Xian tried to hold down her laughter. Back in the bedroom, Xiao Yunduan said to Xiao Xian. After the Dragon Boat Festival, we will have a competition with dragon boats. The teachers of the school asked me to join. Do you want to watch the game? Xiao Xian's eyes brightened. Is it fun? Xiao Yunduan felt slightly delighted. He knew that it would be interesting for her. He nodded. Yes, and it is going to be festive. Okay. Xiao Xian smiled. I will be there. She had never seen such a show before, and would definitely like to watch it. Moreover, she could make a thorough observation of the local area. Xiao Yunduan smiled. Okay, it is settled then. Yes. Following day, Xiao Xian thought of the batch of watermelon seeds. She struck her head. She should not have forgotten about this. She will take Qi and Tao Tao to the mountain, and bring some watermelon seeds to the yard. There were many watermelon seeds there, and with the help of her superpower, she was going to make the fruits grow fantastically in her field. The watermelons would grow to be numerous, large in size, round and sweet too. Chapter 92. 92 Fifth Sister. In law. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. 92 Fifth Sister. In law. Watermelons were not commonly seen things. According to the original host's memory, they only got 2 watermelons at home once and her parents regarded them as treasure. Of course, those precious fruits were eaten by her parents, and the original host did not have the qualification of eating it. But this time, she was going to eat everything. The 3 of them trekked up to Wangqing Mountains, and then Xiao Xian accidentally found the wild watermelon seeds. The seeds were already budding, and there were many veins everywhere, tangled and spread over the ground. They could tell that when the watermelons grow well, there would be many animals and birds flying all over. Xiao Xian said to Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao, "This is a very good thing. We can go back and plant some in the yard. They are called watermelons, round, red and sweet. We can even sell them in the town. I am sure that everyone will buy it." Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao were not completely convinced by her words. But they were glad to hear that these seeds could be worth the while. That is great. Fifth sister. Law knows everything and we can earn money again. Let's dig out the seeds. The three of them worked together. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao were very proficient in it. It was a simple task, and Xiao Xian helped too. Soon, they got enough seeds within 2 hours. Xiao Xian left some for the animals in the mountains. Surprisingly, they saw 2 mulberry trees next to the watermelon field. It was a season when mulberry grew well, and many of the fruits had already shown up. Birds loved the fruits, and there were only a few remaining on the trees. Xiao Xian's eyes brightened and she said that those fruits could be eaten as well. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao trusted her completely. They picked the ugly-looking fruits and put them in their mouths. Instantly, their eyes brightened too. These are so sweet. So tasty. Xiao Xian smiled. See, I was not lying to you, right? When the mulberries were picked, Xiao Xian decided to bring some back home too. She could duplicate the trees. Hence, they will receive many fruits next year. Moreover, the extra mulberries could be used to make liquor. The seeds were all gathered, tied up into several bunches, and put into the basket. Since they were going to plant the seeds, they decided to go back earlier. They spent 2 more hours in the mountains, where Xiao Xiaoqi caught 1 rooster, and then they went to Rabbit Hill together. We can hunt 2 rabbits today and there is no need for more. I can just come here whenever you want to eat it. Xiao Xian smiled. Qi, you should never come here alone. It is dangerous here. I need to be here with you, understand? Xiao Xian was not bragging. There were dangerous zones in Wangqin Mountains as well. The reason why they never ran into danger was because Xiao Xian could scan over the place and help them avoid the dangerous zones within their nearby range. That is how they managed to escape from the beasts-infested areas in the past. What Xiao Xian did not know was that Xiao Xiaoqi was more capable than he displayed in front of others. He could escape even if he ran into wild boars or tigers. Chapter 93. 93 Fifth Sister. In Law, so good you are listening at novelfull.audio. 93 Fifth Sister. In Law, so good moreover, after 3 years' time, they could even fight for it. Hearing what Xiao Xian said, Xiao Xiaoqi felt very moved. He nodded and answered. I got it, Fifth Sister. In Law. Fifth Sister. In Law was so concerned about him. She was really nice. But, you have to remember not to lie to me. Of course, Fifth Sister. In Law. The rabbit nest was full of fat and large wild rabbits, 3 of which became Xiao Xiaoqi's catch. Xiao Taotao brought them home. The 3 of them walked for some time before Xiao Xian found the fig trees. The trees looked quite like wild growing trees, but with a special smell. Surprised, she decided to take them home, but the decision startled Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao. The 2 of them tried to stop her. Fifth Sister. In Law, we must not take these home. They smell terrible. Xiao Xian pointed at the finger-size green fruits with a smile. The smelly tree you know of is different from this one. That tree doesn't grow fruits, but look at this tree. It has figs which taste good when they ripen. More importantly, the trees were much easier to grow, better than mulberry trees. Even 1 twig could make it grow wildly. Also, the figs tasted good but could not be transported easily. So, they were often dried. Even in the modern time, no fresh figs could be found in the fruit stores that were away from the place where figs were grown. If some fresh figs were transported before they turned ripe, the taste would be much worse. The real, mature figs had a great taste. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao took a closer look at it and admired the fruit. They are different. Fifth sister. Law, you are so clever. You know everything. Yes, we were wrong. Fifth sister. Law, how does fig grow? Does it bloom? Xiao Xian smiled. Yes, it blooms, except that the flowers are too small to be seen. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao came to a realization, and helped Xiao Xian to dig the tree. The three of them returned home and ran into Ms. Niu, who was wandering about with her grandson in her arms, just as they were about to enter the village. Ms. Niu, who saw them carrying baskets and bags, had her eyes wide and bright. Hey, what all have you got? Ms. Niu tried to dig out what was inside their basket. She saw some mushrooms and melon veins on top. Wild roosters and rabbits were in the bag in Xiao Taotao's hand, whilst Xiao Xian was carrying 2 wrist-thick fig trees under her arms. The three of them felt speechless as they saw Ms. Niu's behavior. Xiao Xiaoqi dodged her. Hey, second aunt. Law. Ms. Niu pursed her lips. What are those seeds for? Why are you carrying them home? For food. Xiao Xian smiled and bragged. The seeds look very fresh, they should taste good. There were all kinds of wild plants in the mountains during this time of the year and in this era. So Xiao Xian loved to bring a lot home every time she went into the mountains. Ms. Niu heard of this before. So she did not suspect Xiao Xian's words. She lost her interest instantly and rolled her eyes, complaining. She, who is born nobly, has no idea what is worth the while and what is not. Ms. Niu cribbed inwardly yet said, so wild roosters and rabbits are in this bag, aren't they? You can hunt more wild animals for us. Look at my grandson, he has lost so much weight. Xiao Xian blinked. But you have so many roosters at home, you can feed them to your grandson too, right? Chapter 94. 94 Teasing Ms. Niu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 94 Teasing Ms. Niu. What are you talking about? Ms. Niu glared at her. Those hens are for eggs, we can't kill them to eat. We are not wasting food at home. Xiao Xian snorted. But Qi of our family is young, and he needs rest. He gets tired too. Our parents feel sorry for him, so do we as brother and sister. Law. Xiao Xiaoqi added. Yes, my legs feel languished after a full day's running. It takes me several days before I am able to completely relax. The three of them laughed. They were obviously teasing Ms. Niu. Annoyed, Ms. Niu shot back. You are countering the senior member of the family. Xiao Xian's face sank, as she said coldly, second aunt. Law, should we try to seek justice with our parents? You are setting us up. Whenever Qi returns with wild animals, you always speak ill about him when you don't get anything from him. Also, me and Taotao, have we ever offended you, second aunt. Law? Ms. Niu felt even more angry. Xiao Taotao had never offended her, and they had taken many things from what Xiao Xiaoqi had hunted, so she should not be blamed. Ms. Niu felt very annoyed by Xiao Xian, whilst she could not utter a single word of complaint. Xiao Xian was too treacherous. Ms. Niu mumbled in anger. I am just saying, what are you being so serious about? I am a senior member and I can, of course, discipline you a little. Xiao Xian immediately reacted. You, as the senior member, can definitely discipline us, if we make any mistakes. But you are ruining our reputation for no reason. Why can't we be upset? Our reputation is important, and it can't be taken as a joke all the time. You can't be deliberately doing it, can you? Will you be happy if my mom keeps ruining Miling's reputation? They have done nothing wrong, why must they be talked about? Then what have we done, second aunt. Law? Ms. Niu became so furious that she shivered. Goddamned MS. Xiao, she was awful. Xiao Xian's eyes looked cold. Second law, you have to remember not to spread rumors about others. Don't ever forget that you have your own children and grandchildren too. If you offend us severely one day, I am not sure what I will do, for real. She was the daughter of the county magistrate, and if she made such a claim, there would be many people who believed her. Standing right on the spot, Ms. Niu spat seeing them leaving. Ms. Qiao, you goddamned woman. Xiao Xian reached home and dropped one rooster and 2 wild rabbits. Then she took the mushrooms for drying. She shared the mulberries wrapped in a broad leaf, for everyone to eat. Ms. Fang tried a few and said that they were tasty. Xiao Junyan and Xiao Qing felt the same. Ms. Fang smiled more brightly when she heard that it was Xiao Xian's achievement. She said, your fifth sister-in-law is a very intelligent person, and has knowledge about everything. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao nodded in agreement. Xiao Xian still felt a bit shy hearing the compliments. She flushed, and ran away with mulberries in her hands, saying that she was going to share them with Xiao Yunduan. Xiao Yunduan had become even more devoted to studies, after being humiliated at the Qiao family. He had sworn that he was going to make it to the next level, so he spent the whole day studying and writing articles. Xiao Xian pushed the door and walked in, yet he did not even realize it. Xiao Xian did not disturb him either. She closed the door slightly and stood next to him, watching him quietly. The man did not notice her. And she sized him up straightforwardly. The way her husband wrote, made him look very attractive. Chapter 95. 95 Good idea. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 95 Good idea. The man had a slender body shape, and good physical proportions. When he was seated at the table, he looked concentrated and careful. He was calm as he wrote the characters, and the straight-back manner in which he was sitting made him look graceful and unworldly. He, who had been reading books since a young age, looked no longer like a villager. Xiao Xian subconsciously believed that he was going to become someone more than a minor cultivated talent. She believed that he was going to have a promising future. Maybe one day, he was going to press down her parents, like a gigantic tree. Xiao Xian was dreaming, when Xiao Yunduan suddenly looked up and met her eyes. Both of them were startled. Xiao Yunduan was taken aback at first. Then his eyes were on her for a long while. Caught red-handed, Xiao Xian realized that she had been looking at him in a straightforward way, and it was very embarrassing when she was caught. Oh well. I have picked many mulberries, and they are really sweet. Want to have a try? Xiao Xian smiled as she showed the mulberry wrapped in a large leaf, pretending that she was not embarrassed. She could just leave if Xiao Yunduan shook his head. But Xiao Yunduan nodded. Oh really? Let me taste it. Xiao Xian. Failing in her plan, Xiao Xian had no choice but to step forward. She put down the mulberries in front of him, smiling. They are very sweet. Xiao Yunduan threw a look at her, and put a black, ripe mulberry into his mouth. He bit it open and the sweet juice went across his teeth. He smiled. It is definitely very sweet. I was telling the truth, right? Xiao Xian calmed down, seeing his relaxed state. She added with a smile. The mulberries look ugly, but they taste great. Yes. Xiao Yunduan chuckled. You are right. Oh, you can just take your time eating them, I will go and deal with the melon veins, planting melons, I mean. Xiao Yunduan stood up. I can help you, I will eat the mulberries later. Xiao Xian blinked and was about to say something, when Xiao Yunduan smiled. I have been studying for half a day, and I need to stretch myself. Xiao Xian laughed. It was coincidental, and had already happened numerous times. So, she did not turn him down but said, okay, then, let's go. Xiao Yunduan nodded and left with her. Ms. Niu, who had been so annoyed when countered by Qiao Xian, came to the first section of the family with her grandson, out of curiosity. Seeing Ms. Fong and Ms. Su drying the mushrooms, Ms. Niu could not help but speak up. "Can the mushrooms be eaten?" "You will get poisoned," Ms. Fong snorted. "None of your business." Ms. Niu persisted and said, "Honestly, elder sister.in.law, why don't you tell your daughter.in.law not to go into the mountains for useless work? She always brings back wasteful stuff, so she gets no time to hunt. If Xiao Xiaoqi could spend more time hunting for roosters and rabbits, then they could be shared with her family." Ms. Fong laughed out of anger. "I don't care what my daughter.in.law is doing. What is your position in talking about her? If you want more wild animals, you can go and hunt them yourself." Chapter 96. 96 Bad Daughter.in.law. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 96 Bad Daughter.in.law. Ms. Niu added to her list of complaints. "It is Qi who is stingy. He is hiding his skill. If he had taught Erlang and Silag how to hunt in the mountains, everything would be great." Ms. Fong's face sank. "Ms. Niu, you can discuss with Mr. Zhao about this, but shut your mouth in front of me." Mr. Zhao only recognized Qi as a talent, and only offered to teach his skills to Qi. At that time, when they saw Qi gaining a lot of things every time he came back from the mountains with Mr. Zhao, they were eager to do the same. The second section of the family only had one son, who was studying and did not want to do this kind of work. But third uncle offered to learn the skills himself, and Erlang as well as Silang from the second section of the family chipped in as well. But Mr. Zhao did not think that they were talented enough, so he turned them down straightforwardly. Second uncle and third uncle got so annoyed that they kept causing trouble in front of the first section of the family and making complaints about Mr. Zhao, seeing that he was alone in the village. They were unconvinced about his decision. Xiao Xiaoqi was so young, what could he do? Why did Mr. Zhao accept only him as the disciple? Was he saying that they were worse than a pint-sized boy? However, though Mr. Zhao was no longer as popular and influential as before, he was still capable of disciplining a couple of villagers. So, he taught both of them a lesson quietly, before they decided to give up. Mr. Zhao was a very skilled man, who knew that he could not face the world like before, but he did not want to die without sharing his skills. Hence, when he spotted a talented boy like Qi, he thought about imparting his knowledge to the boy. He taught Xiao Xiaoqi how to do martial arts, which was much more difficult and powerful than hunting. But he did not allow him to reveal to anyone that he knew martial arts. That second uncle and third uncle were disciplined by him was known only to the two of them. They were so scared that they did not dare do anything. Neither Ms. Niu nor Ms. Ma ever understood why their husbands gave up. That was why Ms. Niu remained unconvinced about the matter and started to crib about it again. She became rather irritated when she heard what Ms. Fong said. She was about to counter her when she saw Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan coming. She closed her mouth instantly, snorted and left with one rabbit in her hand. Ms. Qiao was not a good daughter.in.law. She was going to defend her mother.in.law and fight her. It was not worth the while for her to stay and listen to her speech. It was her own fault that she did not have a powerful daughter.in.law. Her daughter.in.law only knew how to take things from her home to her mother's family. What a horrible comparison. Ms. Fong was asked by Qiao Xian to plant melons in the yard. Hence, they all went to do the work together. Ms. Fong was glad to hear that she had got watermelon veins. She knew what winter melons were, but not watermelons. Hearing the explanation from her daughter.in.law, she realized that it must be a sweet kind of melon that could be eaten without being cooked. She looked at her daughter.in.law and felt that she was going to make a large amount of money again, which made her feel really happy. So, she asked Xiao Taotao and Ms. Su not to reveal a thing to anyone else in the family. Xiao Xian arranged it so that the melon was put next to the grapevine. It was a very broad place, and with her superpower, she was going to make sure the melons would grow well. Xiao Xiaoqi, Xiao Taotao and Ms. Xua offered help too. Fifth sister. Law, what should we do with the veins? Ms. Su was very satisfied with Xiao Xian. She was more than willing to help with labor and laundry as well. Chapter 97. 97 Glad you are listening at novelfull.audio. 97 Glad. After all, Xiao Xian had pitched in a lot towards the shared properties, and they had taken great advantage of it. Also, Xiao Xian was generous enough to offer Xiao Junyan and Xiao Qing many snacks, and she even told them not to let their father. Law know in case he would ask them to share those with the second and the third section of the family. Ms. Su was very grateful to Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian said with a smile, there are no rules, but start planting from this spot and don't put them too close to each other. Veins won't grow properly then. They did not need to put them too neatly. Also, she was not very good at planting herself. Ms. Su and the others were a bit surprised. Ms. Su could not help but say, but, isn't that too casual? We need to have rules for planting crops. This is just too, elder sister. Law, just do as she says, it will be fine. Xiao Yunduan said. It was her yard and she could do whatever she wanted and however she wanted, as long as she was happy. Ms. Su was about to say something but eventually let out a small okay. Her sister. Law was too relaxed in crop planting, so was her brother. Law, who just let her do whatever she wanted. Xiao Xian smiled at Xiao Yunduan and said, let's start it now. Okay. The planting went on fast with some earth digging, some seed burying, some earth covering and some watering. That was it. Soon, the land was filled with casually planted melon seeds. But the seeds looked withered, and were displayed in an unruly manner. They looked so sad. Ms. Su could not help but shake her head. Can they really grow? She was really doubtful. Ms. Su could not help but feel a little speechless seeing Xiao Xian smiling at those withering seeds. Anyway, as long as it pleased her. Ednel.co Ms. Su was not aware that she had subconsciously started to think differently from before. When the melons were put down, they all walked out of the yard. Xiao Yunduan glanced at the fruit trees and grapes in the yard, saying with a smile. Those trees are growing well. That surprised him as well. Xiao Xiaoqi smiled. True, look at the persimmons, peaches and pears. They are all lush, and the fruits will be available in a couple of months. And bayberries too. Xiao Taotao could not help but drool at the thought. They are turning red. True. Xiao Xian chuckled. Yes, I know I have spotted the right place. We will have endless fruits to eat. Early next morning, Xiao Xian paid a visit to the flower field at the entrance of the village. Everything was growing well. After the Dragon Boat Festival, pomegranate flowers, Chinese roses, and ordinary roses would all start to bloom in large proportions. At that time, the petals would be picked and smashed to extract the flower juice. Then some almonds would be bought, almond oil would be abstracted, and beeswax would be mixed in it for making lipstick. She could see that she had more than 2,000 lipsticks in hand. Soon, she was going to become a very rich woman. Satisfied, Xiao Xian put in more superpower into the field, so that the flowers grew faster, stems became stronger and leaves flourished. The twigs needed to grow faster and higher, whilst the blooms should ripen early and become bigger. Xiao Xian did not stop sending in the superpower until a while later. All the flowers were growing well, and when they grew so well, no one would notice the real reason for it, which made the process reasonable. That was why she had fenced the field. She did not want the outsiders to learn the truth. She was waiting for a contrast. Chapter 98. 98 New Changes in Space. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 98 New Changes in Space. Xiao Xian was still headed into the mountains with Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao. It was the time when mushrooms were growing fastest and wildly. They had sun-dried many mushrooms, which could be stewed or fried with meat, leading to the making of a delicacy. Also, Xiao Xian suggested selling dried mushrooms in the market, and Ms. Fong did not object to that proposal. Xiao Xian suggested that she could get more mushrooms when the mushrooms were growing rampantly in the mountains. Moreover, she planned to plant more mushrooms in the yard, which interested Ms. Fong, who had found the biggest hope and interest in her life. Xiao Xian, with the excuse of seeking mushrooms, was actually trying to find some precious medical herbs, including wild-growing Gastrodia alatas, Panax noto ginseng, Siberia land picks as well as Ganoderma lucidum. She had decided to feed Ganoderma lucidum to the space, and if the space did not accept Gastrodia alata, Panax noto ginseng, then she could plant them in the yard. She also decided to have a talk with the pharmacy when she had some savings, about whether she could buy some seeds of Gastrodia alatas as well as Panax noto ginseng from them. Well, it would be best if wild-growing ones could be found. But it was not certain yet. The resources in the forest were abundant, and it was quite possible for her to find wild-growing ones there itself. When they were done with planting medicinal herbs, she was going to work on mushroom planting. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao were quite willing to take a walk with their fifth sister. Law in the mountains. The three of them spent 2 days searching for the herbs, and finally Xiao Xian found more than 10 Ganoderma lucidum for the space. Xiao Xian was very surprised. She tried to feed the space according to her own thoughts, which the space accepted. Xiao Xian was confused. But then she tried to pull the Ganoderma lucidum out of the space as well, which worked too. Delighted, Xiao Xian planted all the Ganoderma lucidum into the space without hesitation. In this way, she was putting stuff into the space for saving, and she could pull it out whenever she needed things. The orchids she planted earlier were budding, which manifested the fact that plants grew fast inside. In this way, Ganoderma lucidum could be left growing in the space instead, which could help her earn more money later. Apart from Ganoderma lucidum, Xiao Xian was lucky enough to find 5 more false starworts, which space did not ask for but which were planted by her voluntarily. She could sense that the magical air as well as the sense of liveliness had become thicker across the space. The land around the spring was no longer that bare-looking, and the earth within a range of 50 meters was becoming fertile. The space seemed to be expanding outwards in this way. The spring was no longer still. Instead, it was moving by a finger-size far into the distance. Yet she could not see the end, since her magical sense had not yet taken her there. As for herself, she was yet not able to enter space physically, and wondered if she would be able to do that in the future. Apart from all of these changes, there was a patch of mist shrouding the area not far away from the spring, in which she seemed to have spotted a small house. The house had white walls and black tilts, a high rooftop. It looked quite classical. What was inside the house? Unfortunately, she was not able to go deeper inside. Still, Xiao Xian felt really excited seeing the changes in the space. She might be able to realize all the possibilities soon that had not been explored till now. According to the current development, she might be most likely to open up all the unknown avenues into possibilities. Xiao Xian eventually found a patch of wild growing Gastrodia alata. She wondered for how many years the Gastrodia alatas had been growing in the mountains, since there were so many of them, covering approximately 20 mu. Chapter 99. 99 Harvest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 99 Harvest. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao could not recognize those plants, but Xiao Xian had the impression, because she had bought them for the senior member of the family in her previous life. True, here they were. Fifth sister. In law, is it a good thing? Can we sell them for money? Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao did not care if they recognized the plants, as long as their fifth sister. In law was glad. It meant that the plants were definitely going to be precious. Xiao Xian nodded as she rubbed her hands. These are excellent things, precious medical herbs, which can be sold at a really good price in the pharmacy. Gastrodia alatas had always been sold at a high price starting from the ancient time. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao cheered. What are we waiting for? Go and grab them. Fifth sister. Law, what are they called? We will dig them all up. Xiao Xian smiled. They are called Gastrodia alata, growing in the earth. You have to be very careful when digging them. You should not hurt them, or they will lose all their value. Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao nodded. Xiao Taotao asked again. Fifth sister. Law, how much can they be sold for? Xiao Xian thought for a while and shook her head. I am not very sure, but I think that it should be more valuable than honey. Ah! What? Their eyes widened upon listening to her, and they gasped. Both of them became even more motivated and careful hearing that. The brother and sister were fully prepared. Fifth sister. Law, don't worry, we promise to be careful. Xiao Xian nodded with a smile. Good that you are careful, but a little twisted stems are okay, don't get too nervous. Xiao Xian suddenly thought that she may be able to repair the damaged plants with her superpower. She wondered whether that method worked. Even if she could not, small damages were fine. She could use her superpower to avoid the damage in the stems. But Tao Tao and Qi would not able to do so, they were not real professionals. However, Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao were not convinced by Xiao Xian. We will definitely remain cautious. Yes, we will not hurt the stem. That was all potential money, far more valuable than wild honey. The three of them did not bring any shovels on this day, only blades. They needed to chop the plants away so as to make a path across the wilderness. Soon, Xiao Xiaoqi sharpened a sharp-tipped twig and the digging started. The terrain was low and flat in the woods, and the soil was not too wet or too dry. The plants were growing really well. As a result, it was much easier for them to dig out things. Soon, they managed to get a good harvest. All the plants looked ripe and weighed heavily, with some soil stuck to them. The plants had a fragrant and fresh fragrance, but their noses could only smell money. 20 mu plants like this were not easy to be dug fully, and they could not possibly carry everything back even when they were done. They had just completed digging 1 mu when their baskets were full. They were not strong enough to take away everything. Xiao Xiaoqi said, I will bear this place in mind. Let's go home first. What are we going to do with this plant? Sundry it too. Xiao Xian had just tested that her superpower was able to repair the damage of plants, but the wounds could not be too large or deep. She was in a good mood. Hearing what Xiao Xiaoqi said, Xiao Xian thought for a while and said, we can't do this again and again. Let's go home first, and bring third brother, and elder sister. Law here tomorrow. Chapter 100. 100 Ideas. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 100 Ideas. The plants across the 20 mu were ripe and lush, because no one had harvested them before. It was the correct time, but soon they would go bad. Xiao Xian decided to move them back home before they were discovered by others. The plants were not growing very regularly, and she decided to get some more laborers for help. With their help, the harvesting would take just a couple of days. The three of them returned to the village. Xiao Xian and Xiao Taotao waited for Xiao Xiaoqi to get the bullock cart to their spot. Then the three of them went into the town together, and arrived at the pharmacy called Mingren Tang. They went to the old client whom they had sold stuff to earlier. Xiao Xian had no idea how to deal with Gastrodia alata herself, and it would be too troublesome and eye-catching as well. What if those nosy people came to their home and made trouble? They could just dig and sell, saving a lot of trouble. Those relatives were so shameless. How could they just return like nothing had happened, every time they finished the argument with her mother. Law. It basically meant that they were thick-skinned. It came to their own interests and had a greedy disposition. Hearing that they had Gastrodia alata, Manager Qin was really astonished. But for Qiao Xian's previous visit and their generous sale of hundreds of kilos of wild honey last time, he would not have believed their words. Instead, he would have thought that they were here causing trouble and would have driven them out. Seeing the plants they had brought with them, he was surprised. They were freshly dug with soil still attached. Manager Qin was surprised and happy, as he said emotionally, "You are indeed lucky. Of course we will take it. I will buy them at a reasonable price. Do you have any more?" Manager Qin looked at her expectantly. Qiao Xian replied with a leisurely smile, "Of course yes, we have found more than 10 mu of it in the mountains. This is just a small portion we have dug. So, Manager Qin, name a good price, otherwise we will not go and dig them any further." Manager Qin would not have believed those words if they were spoken by someone else, and he would have quoted a low price if he was dealing with regular villagers. Well, everyone was trying to make some money, right? But he had to believe what Qiao Xian said. She was a reliable person, and she must be right about what she had said. Qiao Xian would not trick him, like the others. Manager Qin smiled. "You are funny, little girl. My Mingren Tang is always fair and sells things at a right price. You can bring all kinds of medical herbs you can find, and we can buy it from you at the right price. The plants are raw, and we still need to deal with them, which may take some time. I will pay 2 liang for every 500 grams, okay?" Xiao Xiaoqi and Xiao Taotao almost fainted and their hearts skipped a beat. They exchanged a shocked look between each other. What did they just hear? 2 liang. They had spent a lot of effort carrying the bags and baskets from the mountains, and it should weigh at least 35 to 40 kilograms together. So, how much were they going to receive? They just could not calculate it any more.